This week, we flew from Vietnam to Cambodia to Siem Reap to visit the largest religious site in the entire world, Angkor Wat.
And while we were there, we went to the Khmer New Year celebration, and it was so much fun. So stay to the end, and you'll see why you need to put this city on your bucket list as well.
We're John and Bev, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
If you've been following along, you know that we've most recently been in Taiwan and Vietnam. Now, we have written blog posts about each of the cities that we visited, and you can go to our website and check that out. Also, be sure you sign up for our newsletter.
Now, the first detail you need to know is Cambodia is a Buddhist country of 17 million people. It sits between Thailand and Vietnam, and Siem Reap is the second largest city.
The next detail you need to know is that you can get a visa upon arrival. You can pre-apply for it. It costs just a little more if you get it ahead of time, and the line really wasn't that long. So we recommend you just do it on the spot.
The next part of the story: in Cambodia, cash is king, specifically the US dollar. Now, you can get Cambodian reals, but most businesses actually prefer the US dollar.
Now, we walked out of the airport. We got in line and got a taxi where we kind of hit the jackpot with our taxi driver. His name was Pat, and he was so awesome the entire time we were there that he's the only one we ever used. We arranged with him to pick us up the next day to take us exploring, and he ended up at the end of our trip taking us to the airport.
Yes, and he gave us the short ride, maybe 15-20 minutes into town, to our hotel, which was called the Two Seasons Hotel. Now, we're just guessing that means like hot and dry and hot and wet. But the good news is it was half the price of the Four Seasons.
So let's talk about Angkor Wat. This complex was built in the 12th century, and it took about 30 years to build. It took 300,000 people, many of them were slaves, to build this beautiful site. Also, it took about 6,000 elephants. Now, one of the things they did is that they solved these technical and engineering problems while they were still making this artistic masterpiece.
And when you say masterpiece, we're talking a huge masterpiece because this complex is incredibly large. It's constructed with 5 to 10 million stone blocks. That's more than all the Egyptian pyramids combined. You know, many consider this one of the 7 wonders of the world, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There are many temple sites in this area, so we bought a pass that gets us into all of them. Pat dropped us by the office to buy the tickets. They're about $35 each, and basically they just stamp them as you go through different checkpoints throughout the complex.
Now, we visited 4 different sites in one day. The first tip we have is to go at sunrise. Now, we did not do that. We did mid-morning, and it got hot fast. It was probably 100 degrees the day that we were there. Now, you can get a tuk-tuk from your hotel, but you can also get a driver like Pat who will take you and provide air conditioning, which was awesome for us to be able to pop in after each visit and be able to be in an air conditioning. Now, he provided us ice cold water after every stop.
The first place we visited was Angkor Wat. Now, this is the absolute crown jewel of the area. It's surrounded by a very large hand-dug moat, and you cross one of the bridges to get into the complex. Now, as we were walking around just in amazement at all the temples, again, this is a very big complex, we realized that this is an active site. You know, we saw people at the altars praying, leaving behind, offerings. Bev and all women are required to wear a longer skirt to cover their knees, and when you go into the temples, you have to remove your hats. But other than that, there's really no special dress codes. You know, dress as cool as you can. Like we said, it is very hot and it's very large. But it's just so many interesting things to see. Various temples, the way it's laid out. Just a magnificent construction that was done nearly 1,000 years ago that left us in awe.
Now, when we left the temple, we ran into another YouTube couple called Adventures of XYZ. Their names were Zari and Zandra, and they were so charming and so cute, and we are hoping to see them again.
And we hope they show us around Jamaica sometime.
Yeah, they offered.
The next stop after Angkor Wat, after we finished about 7 bottles of water, because it was really hot, was a place called the Bayan Temple. Now, this place was really unusual as well. It's a little smaller than Angkor Wat and probably in a little more disrepair, but the unusual feature are these faces on every tower. So they have 4 different stone carved faces on each tower looking out in all the directions. It was pretty cool.
The next place we stopped was Tonle On Gate. Now, to get to this gate, you have to go over a bridge. And there are these figurines that are perched along every pier of the bridge. But it was an interesting place. Traffic went through this gate, and we had to kind of wait our turn to walk through.
Yeah, it was very, very narrow. Not enough room for a person and a car to go through.
No, but Pat dropped us off on one end of the bridge, and we walked through, and then he picked us up, and we took off again before we saw those monkeys. Remember the monkeys?
Oh yes, the monkeys. They were running beside the car, and we thought they were going to jump in. He said, "Don't encourage them. They're known to steal things out of tuk-tuks and cars." The last temple complex we stopped at was called Teprom. Now, this was actually one of my favorite ones. It's so unusual. If you have heard of the movie Tomb Raider, if you remember that series, that's where it was filmed. And
it felt like we were in a movie set.
It did feel like we were in a movie set. They have these giant trees that are all growing up through the rocks. Very, very unusual and very interesting, but definitely go there. If you come to this place, you got to go to Teprom as well.
The last place we stopped on our day was to lunch, and we had a late lunch. Pat took us to his favorite restaurant, and we had such good food.
Yeah, he knew all the local foods to try, and we of course ate them all.
Day 2 turned out to be more fun than day 1.
Yep.
Even though it was a bucket list item to see Angkor Wat. But as we were driving around the first day, we saw these people just setting up these big stages. We saw booths of food being set up. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, we knew we were going to be here during the Khmer New Year celebration, which is a 3-day celebration held every mid-April, but we had no idea what we were getting ready to experience.
I know. Pat told us we needed to go to the store and buy a big water gun.
A soaker.
A soaker. He said the bigger the better. In fact, he told us to put beer in it, but I don't think we ever got attacked with beer.
No, we did not get beer attacked, but we got plenty wet.
We got plenty wet. But what they do in this town is they go crazy. Like, it was so much fun. It reminded me of our childhood back in the day when we could ride in the back of a truck, a pickup truck, and it was the norm. Or you could go buy a big old soaker gun and get all your neighbors.
I mean, it was a normal sight to see maybe 10, 15 people in the back of a pickup truck, all with soaker guns, squirting people around town, and the entire city got involved, and all ages, from young to old, to the entire city. There was street food and concerts and booths, but the main thing that happens is everybody gets soaked.
Everybody gets soaked. And I mean, it was old and young, and people could not stop smiling.
Oh, I know. People were so friendly and actually kind of considerate before they blasted you with the water. My favorite memory was I got into a stare-down battle with a little 6-year-old girl from Cambodia, and she was looking at me like, should I shoot these Americans or not? And
but
she decided,
but
I had a water gun, so she let me have it.
She did.
So I squirted her back. She got me. She won.
Hi, Happy New Year. Yeah, but people were out on the streets and enjoying food, enjoying the music, and we even took a boat ride down the river, and we walked across this beautiful bridge. So we just had the best time.
Oh, listening to concerts, and we tried some food, we tried some Cambodian beer. It was a epic evening, I'll tell you that.
It was epic. So we had the best time. So if you can go to Cambodia for New Year's, we highly recommend it.
Don't worry about the heat. I mean, April's the hottest month, and some magazines say don't go there in April. We say go there in April.
Yeah.
Mid-April, go to Angkor Wat, spend a couple days at the festival, and you won't regret it.
So where are we headed to next, John?
We're going to Thailand.
Thailand. We're heading to Bangkok. So be sure you stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.
Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.